Alright, here we go. Because this blockbuster move at the end of June shook up the NFL like a thunderclap, and yes, it echoes all the way to Philadelphia with serious implications for the Eagles. You could feel it rippling through the league when, on the final day of the month, the Pittsburgh Steelers pulled off a massive trade with the Miami Dolphins. The centerpiece of the deal was cornerback Jalen Ramsey, a multiple-time All-Pro who's been a nightmare for quarterbacks ever since he entered the league, paired with Pro Bowl tight end Jonnu Smith to sweeten the pot. Pittsburgh also picked up a 7th-round pick in the 2027 draft from Miami. In return, the Dolphins landed All-Pro safety Minkah Fitzpatrick, who arguably still ranks among the best in the NFL at his position. He's been an All-Pro multiple times and earned a Pro Bowl nod last season. Miami also sent over a 5th-round pick in the 2027 draft. This move clearly indicates that the Steelers and Miami, to some extent, are betting big on the upcoming 2025 season. Think about Pittsburgh's mindset. They're seeing an AFC landscape wide open for contention. From Kansas City and Buffalo to Cincinnati, Baltimore, and even the young, rising teams like Denver and Los Angeles. With Mike Tomlin leading the charge, they're convinced they have a shot at the AFC crown and maybe even a Super Bowl appearance. Tomlin is undeniably one of the NFL's top-tier head coaches, not necessarily because he draws up genius schemes, but because he's a true leadership guru, a player whisperer in the Mike Tomlin mold. He's managed locker rooms packed with strong personalities: Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, Ben Roethlisberger, now Aaron Rodgers, without losing control. That kind of stability doesn't come along often. Granted, Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game since 2016, and he's never fished a season under .500. That almost sounds unfathomable to Eagles fans, long-suffering as we are, because, in Philadelphia, patience isn't a virtue you see much of. Andy Reid was shown the door after 14 years. Douglas Peterson got the axe a couple seasons after capturing the franchise's first Super Bowl. And Chip Kelly, he won 10 games twice in his first 2 seasons, then by year 3 went stale fast. Meanwhile, Tomlin gets to cruise along, adding pieces, expanding the roster, and still no playoff victories since 2016. Yet, here we are. Ownership, General Manager Omar Khan, Tomlin, and the coaching staff are all synchronizing their moves around 2025. Signing Aaron Rodgers was a surprise to some, but not to everyone. Despite speculation, the move makes sense. Rodgers finished last season strong, with the Jets throwing nearly 4,000 yards despite their coaching turmoil and lack of offensive continuity. In Pittsburgh, he'll likely be tasked with smart ball control football, leaning on the ground game, and a defense that, before TJ Watt's injuries, was legit top 10. And hey, maybe Rodgers, even at age 42, still has a few seasons left in him. Of course, you've got to consider the rest of the AFC. Kansas City's always a threat. Buffalo seems to choke when it matters most. Cincinnati lacks a legit defense. Baltimore is hard to trust in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson hasn't delivered deep playoff runs. And teams like Denver and the Chargers, though promising, still feel unfinished. Pittsburgh thinks they can outmaneuver them. They grabbed Rodgers. They traded for Ramsey, brought in Smith, kept their core intact with defensive moves such as the DK Metcalf deal, and sent George Pickens packing. They're clearly pouring every chip into 25. They believe they can win double-digit games, ride deep into January and maybe beyond. Still, the Ramsey-Minkah swap raises eyebrows. At 30, Ramsey isn't at peak All-Pro form, whereas Minkah is younger, still turning heads as a ball hawk. But context matters. Pittsburgh is currently overflowing at corner. Ramsey, Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr., Beanie Bishop. They're drowning in talent, and Bishop is turning over the ball at a furious clip. Maybe the Steelers plan to move Ramsey to safety, heightening their versatility. He blitzes effectively, hits hard, is competent against the run, and can even slide into the slot. It could be a position change that maximizes their depth and keeps Ramsey's skills on the field. That defense was humming until Watt got nicked up. After that, they fizzled and were embarrassed by the Ravens in the first playoff round. This flurry of moves might just be the reset they needed. For Miami, the trade frees up over $10 million in cap space. They've acquired an All-Pro safety with 2 years left on his deal. Minkah does have that dummy year tacked onto his contract. If things don't pan out, they can just walk away after 2025. It's ironic. They drafted Minkah, sent him to Pittsburgh in his second year, and now they're bringing him back, but this time with experience, proven production, and a championship-caliber defender. to anchor their back end. Still, Miami's always been a bit enigmatic, teams that freeze in cold weather. Not their quarterback Tua Tagovailoa has a 0-8 record in sub-45-degree games. Coach Mike McDaniel is 0-5 in games under 40 degrees. That's a glaring weakness. Tua, when he's healthy and out of concussion protocols, can elevate them, but they still come off as solid, not elite, if they gel. Maybe they snag a wild card spot. If they falter, they could implode and McDaniel may be on the hot seat in 2025. They're hard to predict, and Minka alone won't resolve that inconsistency. So now, we ask, who actually wins this trade? Should you type Pitt for Pittsburgh or Mia for Miami? Drop it in the comments. This one feels like a toss-up, depending on each team's priorities and trajectory, okay? Now let's pivot to what this means for us in Philadelphia. Will the Eagles explore a blockbuster move like this themselves? We've heard whispers about cornerback Jalen Ramsey, considering Philadelphia was mentioned as a potential suitor. I never bought into that narrative, though primarily because Ramsey reportedly clashed with coordinator Vic Fangio. Back when Fangio was with Miami in 2023, Fangio is old school. No tolerance for lateness or locker room drama. That doesn't exactly mesh with Ramsey's flaming independence. Even skipping Ramsey, the Eagles have shown interest in other corners like Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson. Jackson, in particular, has been in the league since 2017, but never really hit his ceiling as a starter. The Eagles apparently still believe he can flourish opposite Quinnen Williams, with Cooper DeJean holding down the slot. If Philly were to chase corner help, I'd put my chips on Asante Samuel Jr. Think about it. Young, ball-hawking, heir to a legacy. His father was one of the greatest cornerbacks in NFL history. Samuel Jr. has consistently racked up double-digit pass breakups until last season, when a neck injury limited him to just 4 games. It would be a bargain-proof deal, and fits Philly's model of smart, low-risk acquisitions. They're fans of lineage, and this would hit that note. Next on the radar is the hot-off-the-press question: what about TJ Watt? Reports are swirling that multiple teams have inquired, but would the Eagles even bite? It feels unlikely. Philly has made strategic moves to free cap space and secure their young core. Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith will be extension eligible after next year. Reed Blankenship is extension eligible now. Nakobe Dean enters free agency, unless they bring him back. And on offense, you've got Quinnen Williams and Cooper DeJean. Dallas Goedert on a 1-year deal, and Moroni Iomu. The Eagles are layering up commitments and squeezing in Watt, who'll demand north of $30 to $40 million annually. Doesn't mesh with their cap structure and future planning. Could they do a 1-year mega deal, then let him walk with a comp pick? Possibly, but Watt is about long-term security, and toping their defense with injuries has been a real concern. He's 30 now and has missed significant time. They may consider the trade-off of youth plus cap flexibility more valuable than a high-cost 1-year rental. Finally, the domino effect. Trades of this magnitude rarely happen so late in the offseason. Does this spark a wave in the trade market? Would Philadelphia get involved in smaller but still impactful deals? Maybe they could move a position of surplus to fill a need: tight end depth, offensive line depth, Harrison Bryant, Kylan Granton, maybe even Dallas Goedert if they keep just Toots active per game. They could consider trading a guard, tackle, even a backup running back. But nothing on the scale of Pittsburgh's blockbuster. So that's the breakdown on the NFL's shock trade and what it means for Philly in 2025. Up next, we'll dive deeper into other trade chatter and evaluate the ripple effects on the Eagles' roster construction. Now let's talk about how this all really affects the Philadelphia Eagles in a deeper sense, beyond just names on a depth chart or who they didn't trade for. Because this trade, even though it didn't involve Philly directly, could end up shifting the market, reshaping roster strategies, and indirectly influencing what the Eagles do in the lead up to the 2025 season. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy, share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Philadelphia might be buzzing a little louder than usual, and it's not just the sound of summer in the city of brotherly love. The latest whispers around the league suggest a surprising but intriguing move could be brewing. Rashad Bateman, the young wideout from the Baltimore Ravens, is reportedly on the verge of becoming the Eagles' new WR3. Nothing has been made official yet, but sources close to the situation hint at advanced talks and growing interest on both sides. Bateman, a former first-round pick with untapped potential, has struggled to consistently shine in Baltimore's run-heavy offense. Now, with a possible change of scenery on the horizon, the 24-year-old could find himself in one of the NFL's most explosive offenses. The Eagles, already stacked with star receivers A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, could use a reliable third option, especially one with Bateman's route-running skills and ability to stretch the field. While Quez Watkins and Olamide Zaccheaus have shown flashes in the past, Bateman's pedigree and upside might be too good to ignore. Philadelphia's front office has made a habit of bold, calculated moves in recent years, and this potential addition would fit that mold perfectly, though nothing is confirmed. The buzz has grown too loud to dismiss. Bateman, who's entering a critical phase in his young career, may view Philly as the perfect place to reset and thrive. Pairing him with Jalen Hurts could unlock a new level in the Eagles' passing attack. Whether it's smoke or fire, one thing's for sure: the possibility of Rashad Bateman in midnight green has fans and insiders talking. Keep your eyes on Philly. Something big might be coming. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.